Okay, this is a video I've been meaning to do for a while, and it seems an appropriate time to actually make it now that Formula One are targeting me to try to destroy this channel because it is exposing them and therefore is a big threat to them. So let's have a look. This is Formula1.com, Formula One management's own website. And you can go and have a look yourself. They own F1 TV, the mind conditioning media machine that contrives the Grand Prix. They pick and choose the bits of camera footage that they piece together to form the narrative that they want to convince you is taking place at these events. Now, in the aftermath of Abu Dhabi 2021, which they fixed, a sporting event that Formula One fixed, they then, on their website, did a report into it to explain it to everybody by their special contributor, Mark Hughes. Now, when I was at school, you sometimes had some special kids at school, okay? Now, Mark's got a job here working for Formula One. Anyway, let's have a look what Mark's report here is. Unpicking the safety car period. That turned the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on its head, and Mercedes protest explained. So Formula One, the actual sport itself, is going to explain everything to you, boys and girls. So not me, I can't explain it to you. You would expect the sport itself to give you the best explanation because they're the experts. They are the entity themselves, so they're fully capable of explaining it to you, aren't they? So let's hear the lies that they're going to convince the world of when they've defrauded the world. Okay. Oh, and buy your merchandise. Plus 44 merch has landed. But Formula One are advertising on their website. So, Monday morning debrief in association with Drive Coffee. Okay. All advertising on here. We'll see who Formula One's partners are at the bottom of the page when we get there. All these companies that want to be associated with the show of Formula One so that they get their brands associated with this, all paying Formula One for the privilege of having the brand association. It's all business, it's all money, isn't it? The money generating machine. Or are we a sport? No, we're not a sport. We're a mind conditioning machine. So, was this the most dramatic and contentious conclusion of a World Championship finale in the sport's history? Question. Let me know what you think in the see, that's what they want to engage you with. It's a question. All right? It's certainly a contender, right up there with Brazil 2008 and Japan 1976. Now, Brazil 2008. This is the one where Lewis Hamilton gained places in the closing stages, final lap, overtook Glock when it was wet. The track, it was starting to rain. Certain cars, what were they doing? Were they skidding off the track on the intermediate tyres like they were at Silverstone, or were drivers driving appropriately and slowing down when they lost grip and were able to make it around the track without going off, but just at a slower speed? But some drivers are better geared up for coping with that because they've got a better feel for their car and can actually maintain some pace better than others, enabling them to make positions. Oh, it's all a cheat. It's all a cheat. Oh, and Hamilton should have that championship ripped from him because Renault cheated at one of the races and fixed it. So what do we do there? We disqualify Renault from that race and then readjust the race results. Oh, what does that do? Oh, that just moves Hamilton up a place when you disqualify Alonso. What happened to Massa there? Oh, well, Ferrari made a mistake. They released Massa from his pit stop with his refueling rig still attached to his car. Oh, we should cancel the Grand Prix then and give the championship to Massa, says the strap-on fanboy who just full of haters that don't know how to actually operate in this world. But they've got a keyboard and they like being on the computer and they like being in their bedrooms arguing with other people on the internet. The sport likes to attract that. It attracts the conflict. It creates engagement on this social media. Engagement that allows these brands that associate themselves with the sport visibility. and encourages these youngsters to purchase the products of these brands. Oh, it's all a business. No sporting integrity to this. Anyway, we'll continue on with I forgot his name already. The special lad. What's his name? What's the special? Here he is. Special Mark Hughes. Sparky. We should remember Mark Hughes. His special report. So, was it? Let me know what you think. Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes dominated the event from the first lap until the penultimate one, but Max Verstappen's Red Bull took the victory, and thereby the championship, on the last lap under circumstances Mercedes believed were invalid. Mercedes believed. And see how we frame this? Oh, that particular team doesn't think that that is right. No, all of us don't think that it's right unless you're, well, there's another word for special, retarded. Okay, unless you're retarded, unless you have zero integrity, unless you're one of these strap-on, fanboy, hating wank boys, then you realise that this is wrong. Right? There's 100,000 people, over 100,000 people that signed a petition, Formula One, saying this is wrong. Your special man, Sparky here, wants to tell us that Mercedes believed it was invalid, but everybody else, we're just not sure. It's all up for discussion, isn't it? The controversy began on lap 52, 6 from the end. Now, let's just do some fact-checking, Sparky. I mean, you've got a job working for Formula One as a special contributor, and nobody's fact-checked your work. Now, I hope, Formula One, that when you take me to court, your lawyers are a little bit better than Sparky, okay? The people that you employ to operate for you, okay, on your behalf, I hope they're more diligent than Sparky there, because he's wrong. Let's have a look. Now, lap 53 of 58. I mean, Sparky's just told us it's lap 52, but you're, this is copyrighted material of F1 again. Lap 53 of 58. What's going on here? This is the bar along the base here as to where the cars are located around that track. You can see if that's the start of the lap and that's the end of the lap, Lewis Hamilton here is approximately 6/10 of the way around that lap where he currently is. He's over half. I mean, the halfway point is about where I'm waving my cursor now, and Hamilton is beyond that. So let's say he's closer to 6/10 around that lap. Let's have a listen.
Wow, that feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely right, Martin. It feels like a long time ago. Move on already.
Yes, Mercedes had an awful pre-season test.
Yellow flag? What's going on here?
Yes, didn't they? We thought they would be in terrible trouble come the first race.
Oh no!
Oh no! What's happened?
Nicholas Latifi has crashed
on lap 53. What did Sparky say? The controversy began on lap 52. So that is your first error, Sparky. 6 from the end. Now, if you're on lap 53, and let's just check where we were on lap 53 when it's announced. You know, the actual crash took place 6/10 around the lap. Look where Hamilton is now. He's there. That's closer to 7.5. That's 3/4 of the way around the lap. Lap 53. So once he completes this lap, he has 5 remaining. He had 5.4 laps remaining at the time of the incident. The controversy began on lap 52. Wrong. 6 from the end. Okay. When Nicholas Latifi, battling with Mick Schumacher's Haas, crashed his Williams into the turn 14 barriers. At this point, Hamilton was leading Verstappen by 11 seconds and was well on his way to an unprecedented 8th World Championship. Now let's again check the level of understanding here. 11 seconds, that there says 12. Okay, now let's have a look at this. Let's go back 10 seconds because we're aware. What we're going to focus on here is, see this white dot and the blue dot. Okay, let's have a look there.
Go, doesn't it?
Oh, it's already come to a standstill. Let's go back another 10 seconds. Mick Schumacher, you can see here, the white dot and Latifi's blue dot is underneath there. Let's focus on this section here.
This season, it's once again a great recovery because they felt they've been hampered coming into this season by those slight regulation changes.
Wow, that feels like a long time ago.
And that blue dot has just stopped there, and Mick Schumacher's white dot has carried on. So that's the moment of the crash. And this is the time gap at that moment in time on lap 53 of 58. Not lap 52, Sparky. 11.9. Now, you see, when I went to school, and when I taught in a school, what we did, we've got this notion of rounding numbers, okay? And 11.96 is much, much closer to 12 than it is to 11. So you round that to 12, Sparky, all right? Not 11, just so that you're aware of that. It's nearly 12 seconds, okay? Nearly 12 seconds. Anyway, don't you worry your little head about that, okay? Small error, it's only a second, don't you worry about that. And was well on his way to an unprecedented 8th World Championship. Read more, fearless and magnificent, why F1's newest champion Verstappen has shown his true colours. Magnificent. Oh, yes, anyway, we've got a picture. Is that copyrighted as well? Hamilton was leading the race with a handful of laps to go when the safety car was called. Thanks for that. Safety car. With the field slowed to safety car pace, it's the perfect opportunity to get onto new tyres for the restart. Look at where he's taken your mind straight away. The restart. With the field slowed to the safety car pace, it's the perfect opportunity to get onto new tyres for the restart. So we're diverting your attention to restart. Okay, let's see where he goes with this. Unless, of course, you are leading the race by less time than it would take to get into the pits, make your tyre change, and accelerate back out again, still leading. 11 seconds, 12, wouldn't have been enough to do that, and 12 wouldn't have been enough also. In this situation, pitting Hamilton would always have triggered Red Bull into leaving Verstappen out there, in the lead, with the race almost over. So again, have we mentioned the notion of safety car finish at this stage? Have we mentioned, on average, how long it takes before races resume when a safety car is deployed, cars are lapped in that situation, and therefore you carry out the procedure and then race resumes? Because the data, which I've calculated, and I've done many a video about this, the data would demonstrate, under Michael Massey's tenure as race director, in what we would describe as being the modern era of Formula One racing, where we're using data taken from the tracks, the style of tracks that Formula One has contested over in recent years, so the data is relevant, and we are using the safety protocols which are in existence during Michael Massey's tenure as race director, because over the years, health and safety protocol evolves. You can go back to safety car incidents, or in fact safety incidents of Formula One 10, 20, 30 years ago, and you will see that things are handled differently. And over the course of time, they learn their lessons and make things safer. And hence the relevant data is the data from recent years, which is where I've made the calculations from. And that is why it's actually reasonable, valid, useful data. Anyway, 5.5 laps of a race are lost on average when a safety car is used to deal with an incident that requires clearing up. This particular incident was an incident where the barriers needed to be required to be checked, debris needed to be swept off the track, a car needed to be retrieved off the track, and a fire extinguisher was deployed on the track as well. So this type of incident would be one of the types of incident which would actually take longer than average because it was a more complex clear-up operation. So, anyway, we'll carry on with Sparky's review here. Mercedes had to leave Hamilton out there on hard compound tyres, which had been on since lap 14. Hamilton was potentially no mention at all, because we're not looking into the strategies here as to why Mercedes pitted Hamilton on lap 14 when he was on medium tyres, and most other medium tyre runners ran till laps 20 to 25. No mention of that. Don't you worry, little heads. Hamilton was potentially looking at a last gasp restart for the race. Sorry, Hamilton was potentially looking at a last gasp restart for the race and the championship, with his rival sitting right on his gearbox on a brand new set of softs. So straight away we're talking about the restart. Of having his title taken from him by random fate. Random fate, says Sparky. Look at how he's painting the picture. No, completely wrong this is. But look at how it is diverting people's minds. Look at how Formula One want to tell their version of the story, their version of history. Formula One management, mind conditioning the masses. Okay, and this is on their website. I'll leave a link to it. This exists. So, it was an emotional roller coaster, says Horner, after thrilling Verstappen title win. Read more. No. So Hamilton was potentially looking at a last gasp restart. Well, talk us through the average, what needs to take place, and why it needs to take place. Let's have a listen what Sparky's going to say. But it seemed like it might not come to that. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're throwing you from one side to the other on this emotional roller coaster. Yes, here we go. As the car and the debris were removed, we were running out of laps. It seemed entirely possible that the race would end under the safety car. It did seem entirely possible, didn't it? Yes. Do you not think that when making their strategic calls, the teams would decide whether or not to pit their driver depending on the likelihood of the race restarting? Because if the race isn't going to restart, why change onto different tyres if you're not going to go racing again? Funny that. Why risk losing track position to somebody by you pitting and they staying out on track if the calculation is that the race is unlikely to restart? You wouldn't do it, would you? No, you wouldn't. Why are you saying it seemed entirely possible that the race would end under safety car? Yes, the situation, they didn't show us on F1 TV, the company that you own, that have discretion over what they show us so that we get the full picture as to what's going on. No, you didn't show us the unfolding safety car situation. What you did show us, you showed us replay after replay, and you presented us with David Croft and Martin Brundle lying about the regulations, interjecting with how bad it was for Red Bull and typical decision. I'm not surprised. They're thwarting Max all over again because he had no luck all year. He absolutely deserved it. He absolutely deserved it, did Israel Verstappen. Anyway, we're going on to the other fake narrative now. It seemed entirely possible that the race would end under the safety car. In the last couple of years, as we all know, as real Formula One fans, ladies and gentlemen, in the last couple of years, there has been a general agreement with the teams that the race director should always endeavour to have the race ending under green flag conditions. When did you hear that? When did anybody hear that? Oh, that was the narrative that came out after Abu Dhabi. Oh, yeah, we've said this for years that we want to end under greens. Yeah, we want to end it. No. We've seen several safety car finishes. Okay. But he validates this here, saying, even if only for a lap or two, as at Baku earlier this year. So he gives the example of Baku being an example to validate what he's just made up there. The narrative that he's tried to condition people's minds with. So this notion of finishing under greens, it's all a load of absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Because I'll come to it in terms of the situation. You can't resume racing until you've met the restart condition. When you have to intervene in a race, then on the grounds of safety, that's the requirement of the FIA to manage what is going on. And if there's a safety concern, it's their responsibility to make things safe. So if they have to intervene in the sport to make things safe, in the same way that you have a referee of any sporting event, if they see one of the competitors is in peril, their responsibility is to stop the sport and bring the medical attention to that person. If they see there is a danger on the field of play, a danger to those competitors, it's the referee's job to stop the sport, okay, and then deal with that danger, and then only restart when it's correct to restart, when things have been made safe and when both the teams are ready to restart. They can't restart the sporting contest when only one team's ready to restart, the other team are still having some drinks. But the referee's got his overriding authority. He said to start it, so he started it, and the football match restarted with the other team off the pitch, and the other team just ran through and scored a goal. Oh, don't you worry your little head. No, that's not how sport works, Colin. Anyway, as in Baku earlier this year. So what happened in Baku earlier this year? Well, what happened in Baku earlier in 2021 is there were two unexpected tyre explosions. Lance Stroll's tyre exploded on him coming down that fast straight, and then not long afterwards, Max Verstappen's tyre exploded on him coming down that straight. They dealt with that incident by deploying the safety car, and because the Max Verstappen's car was adjacent to the pit lane on the track, race control made the decision to bring the safety car snake through the pit lane so that they could leave the track open in terms of the recovery vehicles would not have to pause their recovery of Verstappen's vehicle whilst the safety car snake passed it. They could carry on trying to prepare that track to make it safe whilst the cars pass via the pit lane, making the clear-up procedure quicker and safer. So that was the measure that they took. Whether this was a contrivance or not, I am not going to actually make that speculation at this point in time. But what we saw was Red Bull get on the radio to race control and say, what we've seen here is two unexpected tyre explosions. We would advise you to actually red flag this because there's a danger of, as these cars come through the pit lane, what if one of these tyres explodes and a car loses control in the pit lane? There's all these mechanics and garages, and if a car then veers into a garage, into these mechanics, that could cause a problem. So it's a valid safety concern. The reality being, what is your chance of a tyre exploding when you're travelling at 50 miles an hour pit lane limit of speed? And what is the chance of the driver not being able to control that at 50 miles an hour? Highly unlikely, but that being said, there is a slight risk, perhaps. What do they have at their disposal? They have at their disposal the idea of saying either, okay, we'll take on board your recommendation, we can red flag the race, we can actually declare the result of the race at this stage. They could have done that. What they could have done is gone, okay, we take on board what you're saying, Red Bull. We've actually gone through the pit lane a couple of times. Next time around, actually, it's probably the car is clear. Maybe race control hasn't done their checks, but there's probably a safe passage via the incident, the position where Verstappen's incident was. So we'll actually lap the cars around that on the track this time. What did Formula One? Well, so what did the FIA do? Well, they listened to Red Bull. They did throw the red flag. They stopped the race, and rather than declare the result, which at that stage was, I think it was Perez had inherited the lead and Hamilton was in second. Rather than declare that result, no, we set it up for a last lap or 2-lap shootout, which we remember Hamilton messed up the restart, something to do with brake magic, locked his brakes at the first corner, went straight on, got himself completely out of the points. Lost on 18 points that day. Now, like I say, they could have declared the result. They didn't. They could have continued behind the safety car. They didn't. What they did, though, they did restart it. And what did they do? There was a lapped car. I think it was the Haas of Mazepin. Could have been the other one. Could have been Schumacher. But they were lapped. So prior to resuming the race, what did they do? On that lap that they send the cars out of the pit lane after the red flag, send them around the track to form the grid. Well, what they did, they sent the Haas car out, they made it complete that unlapping lap, and then it joined the field of cars that were all sent then around the lap of Baku, forming that grid up for the restart. They carried out that mandatory procedure that is required to reset the field to the restart condition. Why? Because when you intervene in a race with the safety car, it skews the outcomes for those competitors. All the cars bunch. But if lapping has taken place, the leader and some of the cars are in between some of the other fights for certain positions. And whilst there's a fight for certain position, if the leader has come round and lapped the rear of those cars and is now in between that fight, the car ahead gets to disappear off around the track, effectively gaining a lap on the car that they were previously in a fight with. That's not fair. That's not allowed to happen, and hence we have to carry out this mandatory procedure prior to the resumption of racing after safety car intervention to reset sporting fairness to all competitors. Formula One, this sport, doesn't explain that to you. Mark Hughes, their special correspondent here, their special contributor, he's not explaining that to you, is he? No, what he's doing, he's just part of the mind conditioning. He's validating the situation. This makes it all a little bit, oh, yeah, nobody really knows. Let me know what you think. This is what they do. I'm just clearly telling you the exact reasons why it must be. Why can't they do that? Because if you're explaining this, then you should be able to accept it. Okay, that's valid, isn't it? That's fair. If my driver was in that situation, my favourite, the person who I follow, who I tune in to watch, if that happened to them, that's how I would expect them to be treated. If that happened to my favourite team that I support in that particular sport, that's how things should be for fairness in that sport. That's what sport is. Sport conducted in accordance with rules and regulations that are uniformly applied to all teams. Otherwise, it's not a sport. It's not. It's a contrivance. But he's just made that up there. We'll continue down. We've got another picture. Is that copyrighted as well? Formula One. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Formula One management. On the final lap, Verstappen passed his rival for the lead and the championship. Wow. Anyway, in this situation, that would have been impossible to achieve if normal sporting regulation protocol was followed. Yes, it would have been impossible to achieve any more racing if normal sporting regulation protocol was followed. Look at how they word that. Sporting regulation protocol. What does that mean to you? Okay, quite simply, it means rules. Okay, when they dress it up with this terminology, normal sporting regulation protocol, it sounds a little bit ambiguous. It sounds a little bit of like, oh, we normally do it this way, but sounds like that, doesn't it? But it's not. The reality is this is how it must be done. Okay, rules. That is what it must be. But they will go, if normal sporting regulation protocol was followed, but we didn't follow normal regulation protocol, right? By lap 56, with 2 laps to go, well, depends where we are on lap 56. If we're at the start of lap 56, there's 3 laps to go. Lap 56, 57 and 58, there's your 3. If we're at the end of lap 56, completing lap 56, There's just 57 and 58 to go. So again, we're not that clear, are we, Sparky? Anyway, the scene was close to being cleared. In this situation, lapped cars are usually allowed to unlap themselves. See, you're not clearing this up for anybody, are you, Sparky? Okay, it's not close to being cleared. When you begin the unlapping procedure, okay, it must be cleared. When you intervene, you're intervening on the grounds of safety. If you haven't completed the the making safe, the safety clear up, then you're still using a safety car because there's still a safety concern. You don't carry out a situation where you're still trying to make it safe and then you let the cars go speeding off around the track. You've purposefully slowed them down and bunched them up to create a window of opportunity where people can be working on the track without the risk of speeding cars passing every few seconds. You've purposely bunched them up to create that, and whilst they're still dealing with it, you then don't go, all right, they can just go now. And next minute, oh, there's cars speeding by that incident again while it's still being cleared up. No, that completely counters the purpose of deploying the safety car in the first instance. You have to wait until the incident is declared clear. So you have to wait till the stricken car is removed and the recovery vehicle has departed the track. Any sweeping up of debris has been completed. Any marshals have left the track and any barrier checks have been completed. And in this incident, making sure that the fire extinguisher powder had been swept off the track too. The clerk of the course is responsible for ensuring that that is done and essentially signing off. Because he's the one that's responsible, he's the one that's responsible for signing off, says, yes, I've checked everything has now been completed, you're good to go again. So it's his responsibility for doing that. And it's only then whereby we can then carry out this procedure of unlapping. Okay, so it's not a case of the scene was close to being cleared. In this situation, lapped cars are usually allowed to unlap themselves and the safety car then pits at the end of the following lap, giving those lapped cars the chance to join the back of the pack before the race becomes live. But there wasn't time to do that. Okay, so again, when he's explained the regulation in as much that he said giving those cars the chance to join the back of the pack, and he's put here are usually allowed to unlap themselves. It's a mandatory procedure. It has to be done. When it's not done, it's because it's not safe to do it, and so you continue lapping behind the safety car. And then if it's too late to do it because there's not enough laps left, well, the race ends behind that safety car. Saying usually is adding validation to this notion that, oh, you can actually resume the race without doing this, and you absolutely can't. You can't do that since they reintroduced this procedure for the start of the 2012 Formula One season. Abu Dhabi 2021 was the end of the 10th full season that this regulation had been back in operation. The 199th Grand Prix. And yet this man, Mark Hughes, is presenting it just being, oh, usually it happens, but not always. Give me an example when it didn't happen, please, Mark. Give me an example. And then explain to me why it didn't happen. Let me know what you think in the comments section, Formula One management. Or you can check my videos and go and try and block them as well, where I'm blocking the facts, blocking the information from being spoken to the people, informing the people of your lies, Formula One management. Anyway, let your fancy lawyers review this. They'll charge you £3.4 million for the privilege of them deciding whether or not you've got a case or not, Formula One. Let me know what you think. And then they'll try and charge me. They'll try and threaten me with being liable for what they want to charge you to try and make me capitulate to their will. Oh, the legal game. It's all about money and trying to fucking scare people by threatening with them with the consequence of, oh, you're going to pay us a lot of money if we take this to court and we get a corrupt judge to rule in our favour. Oh, are you going to do that? Are you going to settle out of court? Or are you going to capitulate to our will? Are we going to use the notion of law as a tool of tyranny to scare you to our will? Corrupt bastards trying to utilise the notion of law, trying to use mercenaries to do their dirty work for them. Oh, but we're all men of integrity, aren't we? Yes, people do lots of things for money. Anyway, there wasn't time to do that. This would have seen the safety car peeling off into the pit lane one corner from the checkered flag. Anyway, it is not compulsory for the lapped cars to be allowed to unlap themselves. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But it is at the race director's discretion. Lies. Lies in as much that it's at the race director's discretion as to when it happens. Okay? And that being, firstly, the clerk of the course has to declare the incident cleared up. Okay, so firstly, the clerk of the course had to oversee the clear-up operation at turn 14 where the Latifi crashed, make sure the barriers were checked, make sure the track was clear, and then say, yes, we're good to go. So we're back to Michael Massey, the race director. It's his discretion as to when he then carries out that procedure. If Massey then says, okay, the track is now safe, we can do it. He's allowed to do that. If he then looks around the track at the other marshalling points and identifies a problem, he said, well, I'm not going to carry out this procedure yet because there's a problem elsewhere that needs dealing with. It's not safe yet. There's a problem over at turn 6, for example. Okay, I'm not satisfied that it's safe. There could be a danger by releasing these lap cars at the moment, so I'm waiting to do it. He's got that discretion. If, for example, it's a wet day in Belgium, and it's still a wet day in Belgium, okay, and visibility is poor, and we're utilising the safety car to try and make things safe, the track might not have an incident on it, but if there's no dry line, for example, and visibility due to the spray is still atrocious, he might delay the unlapping because when cars are trying to pass each other in low visibility conditions, that could be there's a collision of cars, some of them trying to stay on the racing line, but they've still got to go around corners, okay? And there's still congestion points, isn't there? There could be a collision in low visibility conditions. So the race director will go, no, well, before I actually carry this out, I'm going to just keep them lapping like this for a little bit longer until things are safer. There can be any number of reasons that the race director elects to actually not carry it out at that moment. And it might be a case of, well, actually, there is only 2 laps to go now. If I release them on this lap, the following lap is going to be a mandatory safety car lap, so that there is no point in actually releasing these now. Go and have a look at Monza 2022. There would have been no point in the race director releasing them on the penultimate lap because the final lap would have been a safety car lap anyway. Waste of time. Safety car finish anyway, so what's the point? So, but what he's not done here, he's not explained that this notion of, where are we? Lapped cars are usually allowed to unlap themselves and the safety car then pits at the end of the following lap, giving those cars the chance to join the back of the pack before the race becomes live. What would it have achieved in Abu Dhabi? Well, what it would have achieved in Abu Dhabi, let's just have a look. Down here again. Oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. Well, what's going on here is Pierre Gasly is there on the road and Lando Norris is there on the road. Remember Lando Norris? He was running in 5th place in that race. Got a slow puncture apparently. 10 laps to go. came back out after that pit stop in 10th, got past Ocon, got past Alonso, trying to chase down Gasly, but having pitted, came out behind Hamilton now. Okay, because before his pit stop, in 5th position, Norris was behind Bottas. Okay, Norris was here, where I'm waving my cursor, in between Bottas and Tsunoda. He got this slow puncture, came out after Hamilton had passed. So now he's lapped effectively, even though Hamilton never passed him on track. I don't think. Okay. Anyway, but Norris has then regained a couple of positions, trying to chase down Gasly. Oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. Norris has to wait behind Hamilton. Gasly disappears around the track and ends up behind at the back of the safety car snake. But at that point in time, in 6th position, Norris here at that point in time in 7th. He's 8 at the moment. Perez retired. Let's not talk about the deal that was done there. Because Sparky's not going to talk about Perez's mysterious retirement and the deal that might have taken place between Red Bull and Mercedes for the 177 mil constructors prize for Mercedes to be complicit, and only Mercedes be complaining about whether or not the regulations appear or not to have been breached or not. Anyway, Norris is behind the leader. He's now a lap behind Gasly. Oh, it's the race director's discretion as to whether we restart like this. No, it's not. No, it's not. You see, this is why we have regulations, rules, mandatory procedures, not just the normal protocol. Maybe wasn't followed this time. See how they word it to you? To try and make things seem normal and seem acceptable to everybody. When you just use different words and actually explain context, then you realise the exact manipulation that they have done and how they then to try to absolve themselves of consequence for the manipulation that they were party to. They're all in on it. They are all in on it. And to be honest with you, I don't know the extent of Hamilton's involvement in this. It appeared an authentic reaction. But who knows? Who knows? All of the teams were in on it. They all knew that it was wrong. McLaren could have protested after that race because, well, it should have been a safety car finish anyway. So Norris wouldn't have had chance to challenge for position anyway. He wouldn't have been able to pass Gasly. But they resumed that race with no chance of Norris attempting to pass Gasly. That's not acceptable. That's a protest. Daniel Ricciardo. Well, where was he left relative to the cars he was challenged? Daniel Ricciardo. He pitted onto fresh soft tyres. He then was in 13th position. With ahead of him, he had at that stage. Who was ahead of Ricciardo? It was Stroll after this shakedown of this window, and Leclerc. Leclerc had disappeared off around to turn 5. He was one of the 5 released cars that were in between Verstappen and Hamilton. Ricciardo and Stroll were left in between Verstappen and Sainz. So Sainz was blocked off from challenging for second position. Ferrari could have complained. You've restarted this race and our competitor could not challenge for second place. Again, safety car finish. He finishes 3rd anyway. Martin Brundle, the sports expert. Oh, how do you unravel that? How do you unravel that? Well, it's quite simple, isn't it? Safety car finish. The running order at the end of lap 56 is the actual finishing order, isn't it? That's how you unravel it. It's quite simple. Carlos Sainz in 3rd, for example. How do you unravel? Yeah, he finishes 3rd behind the safety car as well, Martin. So, we'll go back to Sparky's article. It is not compulsory for the lapped cars to be allowed to unlap themselves. Yes, it is. But it's at the race director's discretion. Well, there's limits to that discretion. In this case, it seems this is what would happen. It seemed that it would come to the race director's discretion, does it? Who did it seem like that to? Oh, well, it seemed like that to the commentators who you were trying to get the global watching audience to make it seem like that was going to happen ahead of it happening. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Why would you jump to that conclusion? Had we all had a meeting beforehand to plan this out? Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory, isn't it? A conspiracy theory of all these people getting together to forge a plan. Oh, that's these conspiracy theorists thinking that parties are conspiring to produce outcomes that benefit them. Oh, it's only crazy conspiracy theorists who think that that ever happens in this world, isn't it? Yeah, don't you go being a conspiracy theorist, everybody, because that makes you one of these crazy people. You know, one of those people that should be wearing a tinfoil hat. One of those, yeah. Point and laugh at them, everybody. Not like us knowledgeable people who know that that sort of thing doesn't go on, does it? Yeah, yeah, it seemed that this would happen. There were, however, 5 lapped cars between Hamilton and Verstappen. Doesn't mention the other 3. Doesn't mention that there was 8. Doesn't mention the 2 in between Verstappen and Sainz that were blocking in third place Sainz off from challenging for second place Verstappen, did they? No mention of any of this. Mentions the 5 names here. Okay, the 5 names that were mentioned 3 times by Brundle and Crofty during that safety car period. There were, however, 5 cars between Hamilton and Verstappen, those of Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, Charles Leclerc, and Sebastian Vettel. So the ending may not have been dramatic. Oh, when we can't have a non-dramatic ending to a... We can't have just a football game ending 0-0. We've got to contrive a goal, haven't we? We've got to have a last-minute goal to excite the fans, haven't we? Yeah, that's exactly what sport is, isn't it, kiddies? So specifically, the 5 lap cars between Hamilton and Verstappen were allowed to unlap themselves. No, they weren't. They were released, and then they were told they were racing. Oh no, they're not, because racing can't resume, and yet they were racing, and that's against the regulations as well. And the safety car would be coming, and it's also a skewed way of resuming racing, because the race resumes when all the cars are bunched, and then the leader picks his moment to bolt. And then they can't pass until they cross the start-finish line. But that never happened to those 5 release cars. Lando Norris was just waved by the safety car, and off he went. And it's like, oh, are we racing? Oh, yep, we're racing now once you start across the start-finish line. And basically, there was at least a second between each of those competitors, and there was never a race on between them 5. It's irrelevant because it never should have happened, but it just demonstrates that these were all completely skewed outcomes that nobody even mentions. Nobody mentions. And the safety car would be coming in. So the 5 lap cars between Hamilton and Verstappen were allowed to unlap themselves, and the safety car would be coming in at the end of that lap, giving 1 lap of racing. Hamilton's worst fears had been realised, and Verstappen duly outbraked him on his much grippier tyres to win both race and title. This is Formula One's own account. On board, Max Verstappen, you are the world champion. The world champion. This is Christian Horner. Relive the moment the Red Bull driver claimed his first title. No thanks. No thanks. The furious Mercedes team filed 2 protests. We'll have a look into that again. I will do the steward's appeal, and I will go through that in great detail, exposing the fraudulent nature of that. Formula One will want to get this channel taken down before I do that, so I'll try and get that in this week. But it's got to be a highly detailed one, that is, because it's obscene. Anyway, one regarding a restart procedure, and another which argued that Verstappen had momentarily passed Hamilton under safety car. Which argued that, well, it's not an argument when there's clear evidence of something actually taking place, and there's a clear regulation saying that's not allowed. Clear rules and regulations. You're not allowed to overtake somebody during the safety car situation. What Max Verstappen did is he went ahead of Lewis Hamilton. The nose of Verstappen's car went ahead of the nose of Hamilton's car. That constitutes an overtake, because were that the start-finish line at the end of the race, and that would be the relative locations of those two cars, which car would be declared the winner? Oh, the one with its nose, even if it's a centimetre ahead or 2 centimetres ahead, that is declared the winner. That constitutes an overtake. Max's car was in that position. That's an overtake in a safety car situation. That is an infringement. That gets penalised. Simple. But these, Formula One, they validate it, don't they? Don't you worry your little heads about that infringement. Don't you worry about that problem. The first protest was it's all an argument. No, it's not an argument. It's a simple identification of these are the rules. Were them rules carried out? Oh, no, they weren't. There's a problem. There's a problem. Oh, let's argue about whether it happened. No, it didn't happen. But this is how they want to present it. Like the legal game. Let's have an argument that lasts for 3 years. And for each step of that argument, the game of tennis, back and forth. I'll argue this. You respond back. I'll send you this. Your lawyer will send back. My lawyer will send you this at a cost of £1,000. Your lawyer will send you that at a cost of £1,000. My lawyer will send you this at a cost of £5,000. Your lawyer will send you that at a cost of £5,000. The game of tennis, overseen by the judge, to oversee the game of whiff-waff. And eventually, after all the money has run out, the judge has to present that, oh, here's the validity to this player of the game, and here's the validity to the strokes that this player of the game made. And now it's the judge's job to deliberate on the accuracy and the authenticity of these two arguments presented, and how this relates to the law, and how the judge interprets the law, because it requires that much interpretation of the difference between right and wrong in the context of a situation. And the judge has to then, with all the evidence provided, determine what the facts of the situation are, and then base his ruling on the facts that he has found, using his discretion to find those facts. The legal game for everybody. Don't you worry your little heads. You won't understand it. But they make a lot of money out of it. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about it. Formula One, get your lawyers to come at me playing the legal game. They'll take your money off you. I don't need to spend my money. It's not going to cost me anything. I can play the game of whiff-waff myself. I'm a pretty good tennis player, you know, or ping pong, or badminton, swing ball. Let's play swing ball instead. I'll play both side forehand and backhand at swing ball. Bring it on. Anyway, the first protest was argued under Article 48.12 of the Sporting Regulations, which states, if the clerk of the course considers it safe to do so. So firstly, the clerk of the course has got to consider it safe to do so, like I've told you all. Funny that. And the message, lapped cars may now overtake. So, clerk of the course says to the race director, yeah, we can do this. Race director needs to decide, okay, I'm now going to do this. And to do that, what he's got to do is inform everybody that he's going to do this. So it doesn't happen automatically. Race director says, right, okay, I'm now going to do this. And when he does that, he has to inform everybody. The cars that are going to be released need to know you're now going to be released. The cars that are on the lead lap, they need to be told, right, we're now going to do the unlapping procedure. You've got to stay on the racing line, not be weaving around, keeping the temperature in the tyre narrative, right? Stop doing that, because your weaving could cause a crash. Hence, I'm now giving you the message, I'm releasing these cars. Stay on the racing line, they're going to be coming by. So that message needs to be given to everybody, okay? And the message, lapped cars may now overtake, has been sent to all competitors via the official messaging system. Any cars that have been lapped by the leader will be required. When you've got the word required, right, that means it's a requirement. you must do something. When it's a requirement that you must do something, is that optional? Is that a choice? Or is it a requirement? You must do this. That's a requirement. It says it there in the regulation. Okay? The reason I use the word any, okay, is because all is wrong. They changed it to all, and it's wrong. But the masses don't understand that. The masses, the brain egg happy clappers, yay, my favourite, woo, living my best life, they don't understand, okay? Because it's not all, okay? The reason it's not all is because some cars may not qualify, okay? If you got yourself lapped late in that safety car window after the safety car has passed the safety car line for the second time, if you then get yourself lapped, you're not eligible to be unlapped, okay? You've pitted at a point where that safety car snake has passed you, lapping you. That's your own fault through your team pitting you at that point in time. That's causing prolonging the safety car period through what your team has chosen to do. It might be unfortunate. It might be you picked up a puncture. Okay? But unlucky, this is what the regulation is. But if you're eligible, if you were lapped at the point in time of the incident or got lapped prior to the safety car and the leader crossing that safety car line for the second time, you're eligible. Hence, any car that should say in brackets that is eligible, that has been lapped by the leader, which doesn't mean all cars, does it? Because all cars means all cars. Some of those cars might be not eligible. Hence, all doesn't work, Formula One. But, you know, you do manage to convince the masses of this. Let me know what your lawyers think about that one, Formula One. You know, your fancy lawyers, your barristers from the chambers. You know, £2,000 a day. Oh, £2,000 a day. Oh, that's just a shit. That's a shit lawyer. That is. You won't win a case with a shit lawyer. Okay, don't go for the £2,000 a day lawyer. You'll get a better version of law if you can afford an expensive lawyer. You can afford better justice that way, Formula One. Yeah, you can afford a different version of justice if you've got more money. That's the way the law works, everybody. Yeah, the price of justice and how justice works. The more expensive justice is, the better justice is. Don't you worry your little heads about that one. Anyway. So, don't worry about any or all as well. Don't worry about that one. Any cars that have been lapped by the leader will be required. Don't worry about being required, all right? Something that you've got to do, right? We'll pick past the cars on the lead lap and the safety car. Oh, what's he going on to say there? This will only apply to cars that were lapped at the time they crossed the line at the end of the lap, during which they crossed the first safety car line for the second time after the safety car. Oh, the qualifying criteria. Who would have thought? There it is, the qualifying criteria. Some might not qualify. Hence, all would be inappropriate, wouldn't it? That's why you don't use the word all, Formula One and the FIA and Mark Hughes here in the special one. I thought that was Jose, the special one. Anyway, having overtaken the cars on the lead lap and the safety car, these cars should then proceed around the track at an appropriate speed without overtaking. Okay, without overtaking, they're proceeding around the track at an appropriate speed without overtaking. Oh, not just release 5 and set them 5 off to race as soon as they start the race. No! They've got to proceed around the track at an appropriate speed without overtaking. Also, we've breached that part as well. Oh, but he's thrown 48.13, so none of this matters anymore. Forget that. Doesn't matter anymore. We've overridden it. No. They're sequential regulations, which means it's one after you do this, and then you do that, and then you do that. Oh, we've missed that one. Move on. No. You can't miss one out. No, you can't miss one out. If it's applicable, you've got to do it. That's the way it works. Anyway, and make every effort to take up position at the back of the line of cars behind the safety car. Okay, so that's what the regulation is. Okay, whilst they're overtaking, then in order to ensure this may be carried out safely, the cars on the lead lap must always stay on the racing line unless deviating from it is unavoidable. Oh, is that why the message needs to be given to all the drivers about stay online because these cars are going to be released now? No weaving. You do know because we've just told you. Yeah, that's why. That's how that's in the regulation, boys and girls. See, I know it sounds long-winded, and I know you get bored by pieces of rice. Oh, it's like a legal document, says Martin Brundle, that's this thick, and you wouldn't understand it. Don't you worry, little heads. Hopefully, if you're not bored already and you've managed it this far in the video, you understand now. It's not hard, is it? Okay, but I know most of you would need to spend £5,000 on a lawyer for them to explain this to you. Think of this as being my charitable donation to you, informing you of something for free. There you go. There you go. I won't even ask you to buy me a coffee. Okay, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. Anyway, unless the clerk of the course considers the presence of the safety car is still necessary, once the last lap car has passed the leader, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So that's affording those release cars the chance of making it around the track and linking up with the back of the safety car snake. What does that achieve? Well, what that achieves is we get a line of cars all bunched up again in the correct race order. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, which is Pierre Gasly. No longer the last car in that safety car snake. But after sixth, then we have seventh, Lando Norris. That car that was behind Lewis Hamilton. Then eighth, then ninth, then 10th, then 11th. You know, like we have at the start of the race, the grid, when we start a race, we have all the cars in the correct race order, first down to the last running competitor, all in the correct order on that grid. And it's lights out and away we go. That's how we start a race. When we restart a race, that's how we restart a race as well, with all the cars in the correct race order, with all of the advantages all being pretty uniform between each of them competitors. Yeah? Not one 20 seconds ahead of another, not one 3 seconds behind somebody else. No, they're all about half a second behind one another, aren't they, in the correct race order. That's how we resume a sport after we've had to stop that sport to deal with an incident. Right, with all reset to be in a position ready to start again. Both teams, okay, we're both back on the field of play. Yeah, we're all set up our formation. Are we ready to start? Both teams ready? Yeah, right. We're starting again. That's how we resume a game of sport. That's how we resume a sport of motor racing as well. A reset condition. That's what it achieves. Is Mark Hughes explaining that to you? Oh, don't you worry, your little heads. You fully understand what Mark's telling you, don't you? Yes, I'm sure you do. Sure you do. That's what they know. They know just how intelligent the average Johnny public that goes and supports, that they wave their flags and buy the merchandise for Formula One and let us know who their favourite is in the comment section, and they'll happily tell us their opinion in the comment section. But again, yeah, they're all special people, aren't they? They're all the special ones. Smooth brains. Anyway, we'll carry on. So he's quoted the regulation, and what this, if the clerk of the course considers it safe to do so. Okay, having that, it says where I've missed that, because again, prior to handing back to race control, the clerk of the course will probably check all the marshalling positions and radio all the marshalling positions before handing back to race control. Going, okay, incident at turn 14 is all good. How are we everywhere else around the track? Can I declare the entire track safe? Okay, or during this safety car window, has another incident occurred, like in Baku, where I think it was Roman Grosjean dropped it during that safety car window when they were dealing with another incident. Another car crashed. Like in Brazil 2024, you know, the masterclass where we saw a driver who's the expert of the wet give us a masterclass in Brazil 2024, just like he did when he span behind the safety car in Silverstone 2025 in wet conditions. Another masterclass from Supermax. You know, one of them masterclasses that we always see from Max Verstappen. Remember, there was a safety car situation, and wasn't it Colapinto? Didn't he crash under safety car situation? Oh no! The clerk of the course. Oh no, they deployed the safety car there because it was wet. It's raining. The teams have chosen not to use the wet weather tyres. They've chose to all try to risk staying out on intermediate tyres. Some of these cars, these drivers are writing checks. Their bodies are writing checks their egos can't cash. Something like that, isn't it? The other way around. Their egos writing checks their bodies can't cash. Yeah, they're trying to go faster than their capabilities, that means. Yeah. They're not good enough. And they spin out. Get yourself onto the wet weather tyres, lads. Then you'll have a bit of grip. Then you might have more of a chance. Leave it to those with the true skill and the true craft to try and chance it around and make it around the track on those intermediate tyres then. Oh no, what we'll do, we'll put the safety car out instead. But that's what they do. It's what they do. The safety car, what does that do? That wipes out all the advantages between all the competitors. That makes it exciting again for all the kiddies, doesn't it? Sorry, I'm digressing. We're talking about Mark Hughes's article here. Can't excite the kiddies, can't arouse the kiddies. There's that's an offence. Don't go doing that. Don't go doing anything like that. Anyway, unless the clerk, no, I've spoken about that. Unless the clerk of the course considers the presence of the safety car is still necessary, once the last lap car has passed the leader, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. If the clerk of the course considers the track conditions are unsuitable for overtaking, the message "overtaking will not be permitted" will be sent to all competitors via the official messaging system. Now, what you saw on lap 56 was the message on the screen, okay, published by Formula One Television, you know, owned by Formula One Management, yeah, the management of the mind, management, yeah, mind managing. They put out the message on the screen. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake, which means we're going to restart and these 5 cars will get blue flags. Doesn't mean that at all. It means that the clerk of the course considers track conditions are unsuitable for overtaking. And the message and that, why would he think that? Oh, that's because there's marshals on the track sweeping up debris at that moment in time on lap 56. As I've used Formula One copyrighted material to show you all in multiple of my videos. Oh, you won't like that, Formula One, that I've used your footage to show people that the track is being swept by marshals. Oh, I use Nicholas Latifi's car camera to do that. Go and check my videos, lads. Go and check it out. Oh, that's copyrighted. You're not allowed. No, it's called fair usage, Formula One. Yeah, I'm educating the fans of the sport about how you defrauded them by picking and choosing what you were showing people and making up your false narrative to contrive the outcome of that Grand Prix. Fix the outcome of a sporting event. That's a crime. That's a global fraud. You defrauded a global audience of 100.7 million people. When people get defrauded, there's compensation claims. Oh, the lawyers will like that. They'll be there like vultures and hyenas, ripping apart the spoils. The lawyers like that. Yes, cha-ching! Let's not worry your little heads about that, lawyers. That will be for legal games. That'll be for legal games, won't it? Yeah. That's to come. I'm practicing my swing ball for that one, lads. Okay, we'll get there. Okay, we'll get there. Anyway, so overtaking will not be permitted. That's the official message. Not lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. It's there in black and white. Okay, black and white. That was never the issue of black and white, was it, lads? There's not people that have an issue with black and white. Don't you worry your little heads about that. Read more. Stewards dismiss Mercedes Abu Dhabi Grand Prix protests as team lodges intention to appeal that they never appealed with. That was all a facade. Mercedes had got their barrister with them in the stewards' appeal. The man of integrity, 10 grand a day Tarquin, there with his expertise on the legalities of the appeal and the Mercedes argument, arguing to Derek Warwick, who owns a Honda car dealership. And is also a qualified judge. A qualified judge in a court of law. What's the qualifications to be one of them? Well, you have to play the game of whiff-waff for 5 years. You have to be a lawyer that makes an argument for somebody for 5 years before you become qualified to judge on that kind of game of whiff-waff. That's the way the law works, and that's how you know how to oversee the game of whiff-waff, the legal whiff-waff back and forth. Oh, I will now direct you to play this move, and I will direct them to pay that move, and I will direct them to have to pay their lawyer £5,000, and I will direct the other side to have to pay their lawyer £5,000. Oh, that's why you need 5 years of experience to know what you must do to direct that legal firm to get the £5,000 for doing that, and the other legal firm to get that £5,000. Oh, this is just at like individual level. We're not talking about big money corporate level. It's not £5,000 there, it's £5 million then. Oh, that's when it gets the bigger judges involved with more than 5 years experience of the whiff-waff. That's more authentic. That's where they wear even fancier wigs, in even more elaborate costumes. That's the way the law works, everybody. Anyway, don't you worry your little heads about that. We'll carry on. Red Bull were finally able to celebrate when the stewards, poor Israel Verstappen couldn't even celebrate properly at the time with Mercedes' appeal hanging over them. They had no luck all year. They absolutely deserved it. And wasn't it tragic for them? They couldn't immediately celebrate. Anyway, the stewards throughout this appeal arguing, the stewards are to argue, are they, that Article 48.12 was overridden by Article 48.13, which states, they were arguing that, were they? Or were they judging? Do judges create arguments, or do they judge on the facts of the situation? Well, I'm aware of a situation where a judge has presented an argument after contriving a false set of facts in relation to a situation. Funny how it works, isn't it? It's not an argument. No. What you're doing, you're being presented with the facts of the situation and what the law is, what the rules are. So the rules are 48.12. Okay, this is the procedure. This is what you must do. They're grounded in the context of this being a sport, and this rule is there to restore the restart condition, and that didn't take place, and hence you can't validly restart. That's the statement of fact. Because that's the rule, that's what it's for, and it factually didn't happen. So, that's what Mercedes present. What does the judge say? Well, the judge will say, well, what's the rules? This is if the judge isn't corrupt. That is the rule. What's the context? The context is racing. So, yes, that's what it's there for. Did it happen? No, it didn't happen. Okay, your appeal is entirely valid, and therefore, absolutely, that race conclusion was entirely invalid. Simple as that. Lap 58 is invalid. It should never have resumed racing. Fact. Simple. So the judge, which in this case, those 4 stewards have got that role as a judge, that's the simple decision. No argument. But here we have the stewards presenting an argument. How they did it was they invited Red Bull into the appeal as an interested party, asked Red Bull to go away for 40 minutes for Red Bull to construct a counter-argument. It's not an argument. It's just a simple comparison between what are the rules, what is the law in this circumstance, what took place, did what take place abide with the rules, the law? No, it didn't. Oh, it's wrong then. It cannot be allowed to stand. Here is how we rectify it. Simple, isn't it? Oh no, but the judges argue. Oh, in our opinion, oh, we'll miss that one out and we'll just move on to the next one. That's corruption. These are all supposedly independent bodies. Formula One is independent of the FIA, who's independent of all the teams, who's independent of all the media, and yet they all say the same thing, don't they? How can everybody who's independent all be saying the same thing and them all be getting it wrong? Oh, you can't go accusing them of having conspired to all make sure they all talk about it in exactly the same way, can you? No, that would just make you a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you silly fool, go and put a tinfoil hat on. That never happens. These billionaires never contrive anything. A billionaire, why would they ever go and buy a media firm? Why would they ever go and buy social media or a TV company? That wouldn't give them the platform to control the narrative, the information that people get fed for them to believe in as being authentic information, would it? That wouldn't give them the opportunity to feed people the version of events that they wanted people to believe, would it? Oh, yes. That's exactly what it gives them, isn't it? And if we're all billionaires and we're all links and we're all in the process of mind conditioning people and defrauding people and we're getting rich out of it, let's present that, oh, there aren't any rules, really, are they? They're all up for discussion. Nobody really knows what they are. They can all be argued about, but that's a legal thing. Don't you worry your little heads about these arguments, because you wouldn't be able to understand. But this group of lawyers think it could be this group of lawyers think it could be that, and it'll result in an exchange of money. Oh, that's the way the legal game works, everybody. Don't you worry your little heads, though. It's all a construct. Don't you worry about that. But those that are at the top controlling things, they keep the mind control. They keep their position in this hierarchical structure that we're living with under, where they're treating us like shit. Anyway, the stewards threw out this appeal, arguing that Article 48.12 was overridden by Article 48.13, which states, when the clerk of the course decides it is safe to call in the safety car, the message safety car in this lap will be sent to all competitors via the official messaging system, and the car's orange lights will be extinguished. This will be the signal to the competitors and drivers it will be entering the pit lane at the end of that lap. Oh, so this overrules not doing 48.12. Oh, so stewards, did you consider third place, Carlos Sainz, essentially blocked off from challenging for second? Is that fair? Does that matter? Yes, everybody matters. This is a sporting contest. You're skewing the field now, aren't you? Does it matter that 7th place Lando Norris cannot challenge 6th place Pierre Gasly because he's now left 2/3 of a lap behind Pierre Gasly? Yes. Oh, so by overriding 48.12, you're producing a skewed outcome that is an invalid restart. Oh, the judge has ruled something that produces something that's invalid. Oh, that's the way the law works. Don't you go worrying your little heads, children. Oh, the judiciary, they're independent. They're not held accountable to anybody. They're the judges. You can complain to the Judicial Conduct Investigation, but there's there's a list of things that they can investigate judges for, but there's a big list of things that they won't investigate judges for. And they won't investigate the judges. Don't you worry, little heads. So judges can be corrupt. They can make up that entire scenario, contrive things against you, and pretend they can't be held accountable. That's the way the law works. Or is that called corrupt tyranny? Yeah, it's called corrupt tyranny. Don't you worry your little heads. You need a fancy lawyer to work that out, who will gaslight you to shield you from having knowledge of this. They don't like the litigant in person. Don't worry about that. It's a Latin word, or maybe not that one, but that's why we have Latin words in law, from a language that nobody uses, because you won't understand it. Only the learned lawyers and judges will be able to understand it. So you need to spend your money on them, otherwise you've got no chance in this game of whiff-waff. Anyway, don't worry about that. I digress once again. Anyway, having considered the various statements made by the parties, the stewards determined the following. This is the judges with their summing up. The Article 15.3 allows the race director to control the use of the safety car, which in our determination includes its deployment and its withdrawal. Yes, yeah, that bit is true. Okay, which the race director overseeing an event can choose to utilise the safety car to deal with a safety concern. Yes, he has that discretion. He can then choose when to withdraw it. But it doesn't mean he can ignore the mandatory procedure once he has deployed the safety car. As soon as he's elected to utilise that safety car, you carry out those mandatory procedures that relate to that safety car's usage. You can't ignore them, because by ignoring them, it produces skewed outcomes. Having followed those procedures, what he has at his discretion is discretion as to whether then he wants to withdraw it. And what he's done on 4 occasions prior to Abu Dhabi 2021 is prolong the use of that safety car by not just carrying out that mandatory regulation 48.12 of the safety car returning to the pits at the end of the following lap, affording those lapped cars, once released, an additional lap with which to catch the back of the pack. What he's actually done is seen the locations of those released cars, realised they weren't fully caught, realised that sporting fairness had not been restored to those released cars, and used his overriding authority, this 15.3, to keep that safety car out on track for even a further lap beyond the mandatory one. Giving a further lap of that safety car on track to enable those release cars to fully catch the back of the pack before he let that race resume. Massey did that 4 times. Massey knew exactly what he was doing. Massey was explained that he must do that by the previous guy, Charlie Whiting. Oh, but once Charlie's out of the picture, we can pretend we don't know. And sadly, Charlie became out of the picture in Australia of 2019, I believe it was. So, anyway, don't you worry your little heads about that, everybody, either. Don't you worry your little heads about that. So, they have made this up about 48.13 overriding and the stewards believing that race director can apply 15.3 and do whatever he wants, which he can't. And although Article 48.2 may not have been applied fully, no, because it wasn't, in relation to the safety car return to the pits at the end of the following lap, Article 48.13 overrides that. No, it doesn't. And once the Messi's safety car in this lap has been displayed, it is mandatory to withdraw the safety car at the end of that lap. So 48.13 is mandatory, but 48.12 isn't mandatory. Is that what you're trying to say, stewards? Oh, one that says is a requirement. You're saying that that's not mandatory. Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look here. Safety car. So once you elect to deploy the safety car, these are what you must do. Tells you, that the safety car's got to have an orange light and all this lot. No car can be driven unnecessarily slowly or erratically behind that safety car. All cars must reduce speed and all this lot. No car may overtake another car unless those exceptions apply. Green light to signal to cars to pass the safety car. 48.10 is an important one. applied to Silverstone 2025, except under Article 48.12. Okay, so 48.12 applies to when cars have been lapped. Okay, but when cars haven't been lapped, you use 48.10. Okay, these are the different situations that the different elements of the regulation apply. So when cars haven't been lapped, okay, which is covered under 48.12, the safety car shall be used at least until the leader is behind it and all remaining cars are lined up behind him. So what we're saying there is, if the race director chooses to put that safety car out on track, it has to stay out on track at least until the leader is behind the safety car and all of the other competitors are lined up behind that safety car, that leader. So you've got a line of cars in the correct race order, nose to tail, with all of the previously built up advantages wiped out between all competitors. Oh, that's called the mandatory restart condition. Yeah? The mandatory restart condition. Simple, isn't it? Except under Article 48.12, the safety car shall be used at least until the leader is behind it and all remaining cars are lined up behind him. Correct race order, all them running competitors, first down to last in the correct race order, and all of them previously built up advantages wiped out. That is how you go racing again after you've stopped that sport due to a safety concern. So, under certain circumstances, the safety car can use the pit lane, like as Sparky tells us in Baku. There you go. Oh, he didn't tell us that. He didn't tell us that. He just claimed that this is a valid way of getting a two-lap No, it's because the teams want to end under green. That's how he describes that. Oh, the teams have agreed for years to end under green. Bullshit. So, 48.12. If the clerk of the course considers it safe to do so, and the message lapped cars may now overtake has been sent to all competitors via the official messaging system. Any cars that have been lapped by the leader will be required to pass the cars on the lead lap and the safety car. This will only apply to cars that have been lapped, so that's the qualifying criteria. Having overtaken the cars on the lead lap, the safety car they should proceed around the track at the appropriate speed. Yep. Once the last lapped car has passed the leader, the safety car will return to the end to the pits at the end of the following lap. So the last lapped car was Mick Schumacher, not even released, never even passed the safety car. So that safety car shouldn't even be coming off the track at all. But they think this one overrides it. They think this one is the mandatory one. Okay? When the clerk of the course decides it's safe to call in the safety car, the message safety car in this lap will be sent to all competitors via the official messaging system, and the car's orange lights will be extinguished. This will be the signal to the competitors and drivers that will be entering the pit lane at the end of that lap. At this point, the first car in line behind the safety car may take the pace, and if necessary, fall more than 10 car lengths behind it. In order to avoid the likelihood of accidents before the safety car returns to the pits, from the point in which the lights on the car are turned out, the drivers must proceed at a pace which involves no erratic acceleration or braking, nor any other manoeuvre which is likely to endanger other drivers or impede the restart. As the safety car is approaching the pit entry, the SC boards will be withdrawn, and other than on the last lap of the sprint qualifying session or the race, as the leader approaches the line, the yellow flags will be withdrawn and a green flag and or green light panel will be displayed at the line. I must have missed the word mandatory. Must have missed that. Because it doesn't say mandatory, funnily enough. And why it doesn't say mandatory is quite simply, you could give that message out. You could actually give the authority, when the clerk of the course decides it's safe to call in the safety car, the message safety car in this lap will be sent to all the competitors. Oh, it's mandatory, it's got to come in now. No, so you've just given that. Okay, you've said safety car in this lap. There's still 2/3 of a lap to go, because this is what we usually get. We usually get in the first sector of a lap, on the lap that the safety car is coming in, that message safety car in this lap is given out. What then if one of those cars drops it, spins, and puts themselves in the gravel, requiring recovery? Oh no, we've said safety car in this lap. It's mandatory it comes in. We've got to go racing now. We have to go racing. What if somebody else drops it on one of these street circuits where they've crashed and their car's on track? No, it's mandatory. We've said safety car in this lap. It has to come in this lap. We have to go racing now, even though there's a car crashed on track. No, see, it's not mandatory, is it, dickhead? Let me know what your lawyers think, Formula One. Get your 10 grand a day to Arquin to tell us what he thinks in the comments section. £4 million a day, legal team. You know, like Jerry Adams' lawyers who were, you know, worth every penny of their £2.5 million to argue for £84,000 worth of damages. You know, the legal game played by lawyers, the learned lawyers and the learned judges. They know how the game works. Anyway, doesn't say that that's mandatory there, does it? That's the regulations. But the stewards say 48.13 overrides that, and once a message safety car has been displayed, it's mandatory to withdraw the safety car. That's how they want to condition the minds of the masses. It's not mandatory, kiddies. Don't worry about that. Notwithstanding Mercedes' requests that the stewards remediate the matter by amending the classification to reflect the positions at the end of the penultimate lap, yeah, because it's a safety car finish and this is the order that they must finish in, this is a step that the stewards believe is effectively shortening the race retrospectively and hence not appropriate. It's not appropriate to shorten the race retrospectively that you illegally restarted changing positions within that race. So it's not appropriate to do that. It's not appropriate to take away the illegally gotten gains that should never have happened. Is that what you determine? Yes, he stole £10 million, but it's not appropriate for him to have to give it back, says the learned judge. That's the way the law can be interpreted if it's argued by an expensive, fancy lawyer. Maybe not that instance, but you know how it works. Anyway. Regarding the overtaking behind the safety car, Article 48.8 states, with the exception of the cases listed under, so it gives it that one, the stewards also threw out this protest on the following grounds. So Max did overtake, yeah, but they threw that protest out on the grounds of having considered the various statements made by the parties. Well, we don't need to listen to excuses, do we? Okay, excuses are for losers. You have to make an excuse if you've lost, don't you? Right? Yep. Excuse. No, we don't need to excuse this. Okay. Did it happen? We've got the footage. We've got the evidence. There's Lewis Hamilton's car. Max's car's ahead. That happened. Okay. But having considered the various statements made by the parties, the stewards determined that although car 33 did at one stage, for a very short period of time, move slightly in front of car 44, at a time when both cars were accelerating and braking, look at them validating it. Oh, we're giving the excuse, okay? It moved back behind car 44 Hamilton, and it was not in front when the safety car period ended, i.e. at the line. It wasn't ahead there, but that's not what 48.8 says, is it? That's not the right tab. It's this one. Let's have a look at 48.18. That's 48.8. It's got the exceptions. With the exceptions of the cases, which it wasn't one of them cases, no driver may overtake another car on the track, including the safety car, until he passes the line for the first time after the safety car has returned to the pits. Well, Max Verstappen did pass Lewis Hamilton. That's simply a penalty. No excuses. He passed. It wasn't erratic braking. When you're behind this safety car, you leave yourself some time. Yeah, you leave yourself some space. 10 car lengths you've got to leave. If you're right on the back of another car and you are all doing either weaving or the speeding up and slowing down, which is what they all do during these things for the drama, to keep their tyres warm, to make sure the tyre narrative is believed by everybody, okay, then you need to leave yourself a margin, don't you? Because if the car in front of you slows down or weaves, you need to be far enough back so that you don't have an accident or you don't go past them if you don't react in time. If you've not left that and you go past them, oh, you've failed there. You've committed an infringement. You get penalised for that. Oh, but you could argue if you've got an expensive enough lawyer to make you that argument. Anyway, don't worry about that one either. We'll carry on. So they didn't penalise him for that either. Highlights. Relive Hamilton and Verstappen's dramatic fight. It's all drama. It's all drama. It makes a lot of money, the drama, does it? Excites the kiddies. On such things, the 2021 championship decider turned, and it's a championship decider that people are likely to be discussing for many years to come. Absolutely right, Formula One. Absolutely right. We are, and we're evidencing it. We're evidencing the truth behind it, Formula One. And here are your partners, Formula One. Download the official. So these are your partners. They're your partners. Why are they your partners? We're all making money out of it. Are they paying you to be partners, Formula One? Okay, LVMH, whatever that is, Pirelli. Okay, how does the contractual arrangement work? Where does the money flow? Aramco, Heineken, AWS, Lenovo, DHL. Who owns all these? Who owns all these? Are these who's the shareholders in all these? Are BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street? You know, are them three companies major shareholders in each of these asset management companies? Do they own all of these as well? So they're all associated. They're all on the same gravy train. They're all projecting themselves as being these companies of integrity, making more money with greater exposure. And we wouldn't want to harm any of these companies by explaining that this is all a corrupt shit show, would we? You know, that the likes of AWS, Lenovo, DHL, Qatar Airways, MSC, Crypto.com, Salesforce, Louis Vuitton, Tagger, Moët Hennessy, American Express, Santander, you know, all these companies of integrity. You wouldn't have these brands associated with corruption and criminality, would you? That might impact their share value. Yeah, that might impact the asset management value held by asset managers like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, and they asset manage all the media companies that mind condition everybody to believe the narrative, don't they? So let's utilise those media companies to tell the version of events that they want to tell us, so that the fraud's not exposed and these companies that are associated with the fraud are not exposed as being associated with the fraud. You know, Allwyn, Globant, Las Vegas, Paramount Plus, Barilla, Liquid Molly, Nestle, PwC. Is that Price Waterhouse Cooper? Is that one of these financial institutions that lobby the government to make financial policy for it to give them jobs? Or is that how the financial system works? Oh, let's not worry our little heads about that. PepsiCo, Puma there, Tata, Greco, BBS. I'm more familiar with BS. Yeah, I'm quite capable of seeing the BS, but there's BBS and McDonald's. Everybody, nutrition for the masses. Da 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 da. I'm loving it. Copyrighted, that is. McDonald's, you might have to try and get this content taken down because it's a breach of copyright. Anyway, don't you worry your little heads about that. That'll do on this video. Thank you, Formula One. I hope I'm not acting in breach of your copyrighted material that you use to condition the minds of masses to defraud the global population with. I hope that I've not harmed any of your associate brands who are associated with your fraud, your crimes, your criminality of defrauding the world. You know, those same brands that are all likely to be also owned by Vanguard and BlackRock and State Street, that also own the global media, the mind conditioning machine, that also said exactly the same thing as Sparky here. It was on that tab, nearer the top, weren't he? That complied with the same narrative. They all said the same, didn't they? They all said the same. And it was that made me go, how come nobody's saying the right thing here? Oh yeah, because if you say the right thing, then your content gets suppressed. That you don't become one of these million subscriber YouTubers. No, because they're the best ones, aren't they? They're the best ones. Anyway, thank you all for your time. See you next time.